Hello, everyone. This is Josh Epstein, Vice President of Marketing here at Gizmox, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this recorded version of our webinar today with Gizmox and Kinvey, building enterprise-class HTML5 mobile apps with Visual Web GUI and Kinvey's Backend as a Service. So just to start things off before I turn it over to our main speakers, just to ground us back a couple of weeks back now, March 4th, 2014, Kinvey Gizmox announced integration of our Visual Web GUI HTML5 platform with Kinvey's mobile backend as a service. I just really want to highlight at a very high level just the natural synergy between the two product offerings. I actually took the text here from the front page of the websites of both Kinvey and Gizmox. Kinvey's backend as a service is meant to really simplify the development of great mobile tablet web applications. And Gizmox HTML5 platform is designed really to simplify and speed the development of HTML5 applications, primarily for .NET development. And there's just a really natural synergy here. The companies have known each other for a while. We're both based here in Kinvey's over across the river in Boston, Massachusetts. We're here in Cambridge, and we're really happy to be working together with them. So with that, just a quick introduction. We've got dueling CTOs here today. Brian Wilson from Kinvey and Itzig Spitzen from Gizmox. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to them. Brian, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Josh. This is Brian, CTO at Kinvey. Quick overview of Kinvey. Kinvey was founded a couple of years ago looking to build a platform to allow for consumers and developers and businesses to build a set of really robust and cool mobile applications. As we've evolved, we've decided to take a deeper focus on the enterprise and allow enterprises to build really rich and engaging mobile applications, tablet applications, and web applications, leveraging all of their built-in data sources as well as various mobile features to build really engaging applications. Next slide. So the pain points that we've found with most enterprise mobile development is that businesses need great apps, and they need them right now. They can no longer afford to wait for the long enterprise lead times and the long development cycles traditionally associated with enterprise software products. Lines of business, marketing, and other organizations within the enterprise need mobile applications immediately, and they're not willing to wait for IT to catch up to actually help build these mobile applications. Additionally, enterprise IT is really complex. You've got SOA architectures, you've got ESBs, you've got systems that are online, systems that only function in very limited firewalled environments, and it's really difficult to get that data out to the mobile applications. And then once you do, you have mobile developers who have no desire to interact with transactions or even deal with some of these complex APIs. Additionally, you can't afford to choose a solution for building mobile APIs that is going to slow down your development time, increase the amount of developers needed, or increase the cost of it. And some traditional tools that help mitigate these pain points have been a siloed approach where you build one application at a time, and each application can't really transfer over into other use cases or other applications. So you end up doing the same work again and again and again, which is just really expensive. Next slide, please.
So what Kinvey does is Kinvey provides a holistic mobile solution for the mobile IT buyer looking for the full stack. And so what that really translates to is that enterprises need the ability to build cross-platform applications, they need to build native applications, they need to build hybrid applications and web applications, but they need to be free to choose the technology that they want to be able to build those applications. And so Kinvey provides a series of SDKs and client libraries to help accelerate development on a wide variety of different mobile and hybrid platforms. Enterprises and customers need the ability to take data from any source that they choose, whether or not it's data from Facebook Open Graph or data from a legacy SOAP API or data from an SQL server, and they need the ability to mobilize that and create mashups between that data such as taking data from your CRM and data from your CMS and joining them on the server for sending a single response to the client, and be able to build really rich client applications through server-based data mashups. Additionally, once you've built the application, you're not done. You'll always find new things that you have to kind of update, and new processes and logic that are always required to be updated. And so Convey provides a rich business logic that's built in JavaScript that allows your client developers to actually implement the new business process and logic right there on the server without having to go all the way through to IT. And additionally, data security is kind of one of the number one points of focus for all mobile strategies these days. And so Convey provides both end-to-end encryption as well as on-disk encryption for offline cachings using industry standard AES 256, as well as Convey supports lifecycle management by allowing you to have both different environments for your application, such as staging, production, QA, etc., and different versions of your application. So in Convey's world, the developer experience is a number of features that are common to most applications that people are building, but really the consumer or client application, even in enterprise, wants to just consume those at a backend as a service level. And they want to be able to and be free to iterate and build really rich, interesting user experiences and user interfaces in the client application. And on the other side, we found that enterprise IT has a very large number of distinct backend systems that they want the ability to provide to those. And so the Convey platform sits in the middle as kind of a mediating layer, helping client developers consume mobile features as well as legacy enterprise IT systems, and allowing the control and security that the enterprise needs to be handled on the enterprise IT side, while giving developers the agility and the features that they need on the front end side. Because it comes down to that in today's world, even in the enterprise, you need to build store-ready app experiences. People using mobile phones and mobile apps aren't really willing to deal with the poor app experience that they've had in the past. They really want good quality apps, which involves being responsive when the app's offline, having the ability to transparently sync data, being allowed to bring their own device and handle that securely, and part of that experience from allowing that on the enterprise side, or just in the general app building side, is you need the ability to manage users, to manage the network and manage the way the data is going, and you really need to be able to access any data. And that point is just really key, in that it's impossible to build, especially for enterprise, a really rich store-ready app experience if you can't access the data in your systems of record that you need to access to build those applications. And to help out with some of the challenges around security and compliance issues in large enterprises, Convey has two deployment options. The first of which is the public multi-tenant cloud system, which has a free tier and a number of different paid pricing tiers that allows you guys to just go sign up, start using Convey today, and allows for anyone building any type of app, from the next Instagram or something like that, all the way to an application for banking customers or a B2B banking application. But as you guys probably would expect, banking applications aren't really compatible with public multi-tenant clouds. So Convey also lets you deploy onto a dedicated cloud of your choice, whether or not that's something like IBM SoftLayer, Amazon Web Services VPC, or even something like an OpenStack deployment sitting in your corporate data center. So with that, I'll pass it on to Itzik to give a overview of Gizmox.
Thank you very much. So Gizmox is actually focused on a different layer of the mobile and web applications, which is also focused on the security, the fast creation and fast rapid deployment and everything, and also the familiarity of developers not to go ahead and learn new stuff in order to create their mobile applications. So we're focused on bringing the business applications of the world enterprise applications, line of business applications, using a few paths, I would say. One of which is Visual Web GUI, which is from the ground up development platform, which allows you to create rapid applications or rapidly create HTML5 front ends using C#, using VB.NET and .NET languages with a visual designer, which is very, very simple, simplifies the process, and allow you to maintain one source code for both desktop applications or desktop wide screen applications and smaller form factor type of applications, touchscreen friendly. The pointing device has changed, so we have to be sensitive to that, and really provide the same look and feel and the same experience that is expected by a mobile application, which we want to provide. The other path is transposition. We're not going to focus on that today, but it's also a path which creates you the ability to take business applications, existing business applications this time, and convert it all the way to .NET backend and HTML5 frontend, and even mobilize that all the way to any type of mobile device. From the front-end perspective, having the ASP.NET as the backend. One of our major guidelines in Visual Web GUI since we started was security. So Visual Web GUI, being an HTML5, is already secured by design, by being the HTML5 thing running from the sandbox of the browser. But it's also an empty client, and it's also extensively secured on the client side, not providing anything to hack from the client side and the front end back to the server. And we added in the recent versions also capabilities to integrate with the security backend of the organization, LDAP and Active Directory and whatnot, to just provide fine-grained security on your application even after creation. The Gizmox platform is actually built of the ability to serve multiple front ends, the HTML5 front ends. It can be either native application, native browser application, which is HTML5, and hybrid applications, which are using either PhoneGap or other solutions, or fully compatible with PhoneGap. So the backend is actually ASP.NET backend, which allows you practically to integrate with everything or with anything. Okay, but that again, Kinvey provides that part. We'll talk about the integration, which allows you to further extend the integration with the server and provide streamlined way or a single way to unified way to access to your data and bring your data to your application. Visual Web GUI actually consists of two parts. One is the design time, which is the left-hand side of this slide, in which we provide integration to Visual Studio.NET, all the versions, 2005 through 2013. A visual designer, which allows you to drag and drop controls, very visually, very simple. Write your code using C# VB.NET and familiar languages. A rich set of controls, which are specifically adapted to mobile when needed, or desktop. You can create both desktop and mobile from the same code base. Form factor designer, which allows you to really design the application of choice, or lay out the application of choice specifically to the mobile device. A theme library, which allows you to get the native look and feel, iOS or Android or any other device. You can customize this as well, but you get out of the box some themes that are very likely to be used on mobile devices. And on the server side, we actually have the ability to manage the application, deploy the application, to provide or serve multiple front ends, multiple devices, multiple type of browsers and devices, form factors, touchscreen friendly or not devices, using the same code base. Security capabilities like integrating with the LDAP, scaling up the application, creating an application that can be served from a web server farm, and with a single place where you keep the state, and additionally abilities to monitor and trace the application at runtime. The client is really simple. It's actually the VM, the ultimate VM, I would say, which is the browser, the sandbox of the browser. You can extend that and have a market-ready application pretty fast by integrating with PhoneGap or other solutions. We have the complete APIs, as I mentioned, so it says here on the slide. And we also have client APIs to provide you abilities to create offline scenarios or to optimize the applications in terms of not hitting the server when you don't need to, like validations and stuff that you probably want to do on the client if they don't provide hacking points to hackers. The professional studio is integrated within Visual Studio. It provides, as I mentioned before, point and click, drag and drop development experience using C# and using any of the Visual Studio tools that you're familiar with, drag and drop environment, and adapt to your mobile form factor. As you can see here, Gizmox works very closely with Microsoft. See the quote here, Visual Studio industry partner, which means that we work very closely on the Visual Studio side, on the experience of the developer. So on the server side, as I mentioned before, the ability to enhance the manageability of the IT on your application. So it's provided here to allow your IT managers to really control the application, deploy, and expose applications. Complete scalability, which allows you to increase the performance. Each server will serve a lot of users, but you might need some few servers if you're serving customers, so you can have thousands and tens of thousands and even hundreds of thousands users served by a few servers. Centralized security management, as I mentioned before, the integration with the Active Directory and the LDAP of the organization, and serving any UI specific to the device and the profile, which means that different people and different devices will get separate UI, separate user experience, and potentially only a few scenarios of the application, not necessarily everything. It's all cloud deployable because it's ASP.NET, it's very native on the server side, and you can either deploy it on-premise and serve it from the organization on-premise service or the cloud or even hosted environments. In order to explain what Visual Web GUI really is in terms of mobile devices, here's a diagram which shows the things that we believe the application is built of. So you have screens from your application, if it's full screen or even if it's a mobile application. It can consist of screens, controls in each of the screens, layout, which actually lays out the controls on the screens, look and feel, which is the experience that you get, and flow between the screens and between the controls, which actually is the workflow that you work on the application. So what Gizmox has done is we enable to reorganize those 5 things when you create your specific mobile experience. So assuming that you have a desktop experience, now you just want to screen the application differently to different devices, you can change the order of screens or the components on the screens, the controls, existence, or whether it's hidden or shown and where it's hidden or shown, the layout between the controls, the flow between the controls and between the screens, and if it's tab views and etc., and the look and feel itself, which means that you can dress the application differently if you open iOS devices or if you open Android devices and etc. So you want to see the application a bit differently and not get the same application shown on different devices when it makes sense. So we do that with the Form Factor Designer, which allows you to drag and drop within Visual Studio, drag and drop your layout. Inheritance, it's using inheritance in the backend, so it's really reusing your code base. You don't need to rewrite everything. You just need to drag your controls differently, maybe hide and show, maybe add some functionalities that you don't have on a different mobile device or on a desktop, and you just adapt the application to the different mobile devices. Then it creates the ability to really deploy the application once and screen it differently for different devices and different profiles. So security is really important, as I mentioned before. The HTML5 browser or any browser actually is the sandbox, and it's providing some security out of the box without having to do anything because it's protecting you from interaction with the device itself and from other applications. But Visual Web GUI is completely secure on the client side because it provides you a thin client which doesn't have anything, neither the algorithm nor the data that you might find in an application if you write from scratch. It's all on the server unless you put some things on the client, deliberately, and you know what you're doing. Everything is stored on the server and is not cached if you don't want it to cache. So it's purely secure. And now we'll go and talk about the integration which we've done recently between Kinvey and Gizmox. And so the first thing I would like to do is to show you the diagram of how this integration looks like. So on the right side, you see Gizmox, which is what we talked about here on the multiple front ends, the HTML5 platform and the ASP.NET backend, which can also be deployed on Mono. On the left side, you can see Kinvey with all the integration to data and the specific simplicity and streamlined process that Kinvey brings into the table, and also the push notification capability, which is also capable. And this is really important because people think that maybe with HTML5 and with browser application, they might not be able to do push notifications, and that's shown and proven with the integration of Gizmox with Kinvey. So with that, we would like to talk about 6 reasons to leverage the integration between the HTML5 platforms of Gizmox and the the backend of the service from Kinvey.
All right. Yeah. So the first reason that you really want to leverage the integration here is simplicity, right? And for developers, simplicity is really important, both from a time to market and a cost for how much it, like what you can do, right? Because the simpler something is, the faster it takes to get it done, and just the easier it is. And so Kinvey, in the simplicity, we bring the ability to use data links and the other backend service tools to bring your enterprise data, or even publicly available data, to mobile applications in a really simple manner, and to separate that from what the client developer has to do, and just allow you to really quickly spin up new data sources and get new data sources into the graphic side, which is a great complement for Gizmox, which
actually is providing the front end of the same thing. So we're streamlining the process of development of that front end and allowing you guys to have one code base with support for multiple devices, and still have the same development resources that you had before, only now maintaining the entire set of front end, and with the integration to Kinvey with the same set of backend that you can have.
So the second reason is a direct follow-on from that, and that's time to market. As we said before, technology is moving so much faster now, and applications just are, coming again and again and again. We were having a conversation in the office the other day about how if we wanted to wait 2 months or not to release something, and the conclusion was if we wait 2 months, there'll be 2 companies that were founded in that span that will release the feature that we're working on. So, Kinvey helps let app developers focus on app development, and it doesn't force them to also be back-end developers. And while it's, easy enough to find a relatively, like a good group of people who are full stack engineers that do the front end and the back end, that back end ends up being very shallow, and it doesn't let you integrate with third-party data sources or a whole lot of other things, and you end up kind of having to have your front end developers do both the front end and the back end development. So you really want the front end developers to just focus on building a really awesome front end as quick as possible, and you really want to leverage the tools and technologies that help your front end developers get there, which are things like what Gizmox brings.
Yeah, Brian, you're completely right. So I completely agree. And when you talk about applications in our world and in the market, moving fast and everything, you really want to be there fast. So you want to leverage your existing .NET skill set as we bring the ability to actually visually create the application without having to really invent the wheel, and RUD-like capabilities of creating the application from scratch really fast, and be there on time and be there really fast, and not focus on how to do things, but focus on what you want to achieve, and on the business, I would say, processes and things that you want to achieve really quickly without having to worry about how are you going to achieve that in any of the devices out there.
All right. So the third thing that you can leverage using our integration here is scalability. And as I mentioned in the Kinvey slide about supporting multiple different deployment types, Kinvey from the beginning has focused on building a scalable public multi-tenant cloud, and we've taken that same technology to dedicated deployments as well. And so from the ground up, the front end developers just worry about building the front end side, or even systems that are going to integrate with Kinvey. You just worry on building your components, and the Kinvey platform itself will scale both in terms of the number of apps that we can support, the number of push notifications that we can push out, as well as the number of API calls that you're making. And so, the less time that you guys have to focus on scaling means, the faster you guys can achieve the other goals. And so, while we help scale in the back end, you need somebody else to help you scale for things, in the front end.
Yeah, that's true. So we have Kinvey backend. Now it's all scalable on the backend. You can have more push notifications, more data at the same time, accessing through many devices out there. But the front end has to be scalable as well, in order to complete that, because now you have multiple devices accessing, the server and the mobile backend. And what you want to do is you want to be able to deploy the application on multiple servers, to have an architecture that will scale up according to your growth, and to seamlessly, create an application that will fit from a single user to hundreds of thousands of users simultaneously on the server. So you want to have as many as you can users from the same server, and that's the lightweight of Gizmox on the server provides that. And also, you want to be able to multiply the server so that you can serve more than that if you need.
As always, the question of security comes up, and this integration gives great power in terms of the security, because Kinvey brings to the table the user management and the encryption, the ability to integrate with the different enterprise or authentication systems, which Gizmox can directly tie into that stuff either directly or through Kinvey. And Kinvey can leverage however the authentication is passed in to securely expose that backend data source. And again, it's end-to-end encrypted. You can have the encryption on the client if you need to. So again, it's the core focus of Kinvey to give you the security on the back end. And when we partner up with someone like Gizmox, Gizmox brings the front end security to the table for us.
Right, and Gizmox, one of the major focuses of Gizmox building the platform was security. And when we say security by design, what we really mean is that the client doesn't contain anything you can hack from to the application. It doesn't contain extra data to hook up to data on the back end, and etc. So it's really an empty client. That's our paradigm. And when we integrate with the backend of Kinvey, providing the backend security, it's complete end-to-end security, and you get something that is really reliable. You can really count on, to show and use your data remotely using, VPN and MDM solutions, and not using them. You're still in the best shape to provide delivery of the application and the data in a very secure way.
The fifth thing that the integration brings to the table is flexibility. And I've mentioned this a couple times already, but it's really important that the service providers that you pick and the platforms that you pick are able and flexible enough to meet the needs. So again, if you're building an application for your friends and family or for a public app store, you really want the flexibility of the public cloud. But if you're building an application for a bank, for a hospital, for a pharmaceutical company, you really need the control of on-premise deployment. And Kinvey has been, deployed in all the different situations that you can imagine, and it's specifically for the purpose of giving the convenience and the flexibility. And when you pick your front-end technology stack, it's really important that the front-end technology stack is also able to meet that flexibility.
Yeah, that's true, because if you have only backend that supports all this variety of deployment types, and now you're limited on your front end, and again, we're talking about applications with backend logic, not just front end. It's backend logic and then data and access to the Kinvey backend. So you still have the server need on the front end side to store the state of the application and etc. And it's really important that Gizmox provides the flexibility of deployment on any type of cloud or hosting services, or even completely compatible with any on-premise deployment. And it of course need to have the ability to run .NET, but it can be deployed on Mono, on Apache servers, as far as we know, and provide the same flexibility of deploying anywhere.
All right, and then the most important thing I think about this integration is that we really empower the ability to run on any device. And this is not just iPhone and Android. This is really iPhone, Android, desktop, tablet, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, the smartwatches that were released earlier this week, Google Glass, the new consumer device that I'm sure will be released next week and the week after, as well as who knows what's coming in the Internet of Things. At some point, you'll need the ability to write applications for people's refrigerators. And Kinvey believes strongly that you need one backend to talk to all of the different front ends that you want to support. And that one backend can then help integrate all the different backend systems that you want to support. And if you combine Kinvey with something like Gizmox, the power is just insane, just how many different devices you can support.
Right. So you have all the variety of devices that you can support on the front end using HTML5, which becomes a standard for everything. Every little device has a browser today, and it's as I mentioned before, it's an ultimate VM for us to run the application from, without completely ignoring the type of operating system, the type of thing that you need to build in order to run in this operating system. You don't need to write specific iOS Objective-C code or Java code or whatnot. You can just open the BlackBerry browser and use your application, or even install it as a phone app, which also extends always and provides more and more capabilities and more supported devices. So that's strength to be flexible on both ends. So with that, we would like to welcome you and to start asking questions. This is a very good time for Q&A. You have the questions panel that you can use. Just type your question. We'll echo the question and try to answer.
So while we're waiting for questions to come in, I just will say there'll be a recorded version of this as well as the slides will be made available to everyone. Those will come out here later this afternoon, most likely. So just waiting for some questions to come in.
Okay. What do we have here? Okay, so right after this session, we will expose a demo, which is allowing you guys to try to see the Kinvey integration. So someone here asked whether there will be a trial of the integration. So at the moment, we're going to show a demo of how the integration works, and the way the integration is going to be delivered to you guys is going to be announced after that. But at least now you'll get to see the application that works and the way that the things that you can do with the Kinvey integration of the Gizmox platform. What else do we have here? How can we integrate with Mono? So it really depends. So if we talk about the Mono backend, then or the ability to deploy on Apache servers and Java servers running .NET on the server. So that's really simple. You just have to deploy Mono and use the way you would deploy an ASP.NET application, exactly the same way, like Xcopy deployment. You just have to make sure that your application is not using any Windows backend services and capabilities and APIs, because otherwise Mono won't be able to deliver that. So with the limitations of the Mono platform, you can deploy anything on an Apache server powered by Mono. So that's a server thing. It's not a client thing, just to make sure that we understand that the client is really a thin HTML5 client running from a browser, doesn't require Mono, and not to be confused with other platforms that might run on the client. This one is completely an empty client, which is highly secured and not running on the client. Such apps. Okay, how do you get such apps in the App Store or Google Play? Okay, so from the Kinvey side, I think it really doesn't matter a lot, right, Brian?
No. Everything that the Kinvey provides for clients and that's consumed through Gizmox is completely compatible with all the major app stores, and Kinvey-backed applications have been deployed in the Android App Store, so Google Play. They've been deployed in the iOS App Store. We've actually had some in the past that were deployed to Amazon's App Store. So we support all the different app stores. There's nothing incompatible.
So that's good. And in terms of the front end, now HTML5 application by default doesn't require market readiness. So you can just type in the URL and browse to your application. Having said that, you can still have it market ready if you wrap it with PhoneGap, which supports all the common devices out there. And then you have a hybrid application which is market ready. And you can deploy the application and pack it in a way that will be market ready for any of the markets out there. Will there be any tutorials available for Kinvey with Gizmox? Yeah, sure. Once we announce the integration available for real use, at the moment it's just a preview, which we hope to soon create a complete package of. And you will obviously get tutorials and explanations on how to use it. Anything, guys, on the integration with the backend, on the different platform that we support? So I will tell you that the Gizmox platform supports any W3C compliant browser. So it means that you can run the application starting from BlackBerry and all the way through Android, the latest Android devices and latest browsers, Safari browsers, and etc. And have the same application working on the desktop, which is a big advantage because you can maintain the same code base and really even use the Kinvey backend not just for mobile devices but for your laptops and desktop applications as well. Does the Apple push notification also work? The app isn't running. Yeah, so actually it's not only Apple. So push notifications, as I mentioned before, it's common to think that HTML5 application won't provide capabilities of push notification. What we do here and what we work with Kinvey to create together is an agent which is installed on the client, which is multi-purpose. You install it once, and from this point on, you can have push notifications pushed to the client and open either the browser or the hybrid application that you have installed, just to to reply to this or to see this message content in the right context of the application. So yeah, certainly yes.
All right, guys. Well,
anything else you want to add on the Brian, on the push notification world?
Just to follow up on that, I mean, as long as you are using hybrid apps, you get full native push notifications, right. And both Safari and Chrome and most other browsers offer a compatible push notification system that just works with the technology Gizmox is providing on the front end.
Right.
And if it's a server, we can push to it. So.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, guys. I think that that about does it. Along with the follow-up email, I'll provide the email addresses of both Itzik and Brian, so certainly feel free to engage them directly. Again, the recorded version of this and a copy of the slides will be made available later this afternoon. And just want to thank everyone for joining us today.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Take care.